train.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you take roll call, please?
Mr. Biltcliffe?
Here.
Ms. Cook? Ms. Falcone?
Here.
Ms. Kumble?
Here.
Ms. Lorah?
Here.
Mr. Polinsky?
Here.
Mr. Stoudt?
Here.
Mrs. Stoudt?
Here.
Everybody is present.
Thank you. Borough Manager, Miss Stacy Milo.
I'm not going to do the PowerPoint because you all have it in front of you and there's no one in the audience. So it will be available as a PDF. We'll upload it as soon as the YouTube video populates or uploads or whatever it's going to do. All right, before you, I don't know if anyone needs a review on funds. We do everything by funds. The general fund is 01. It includes administration, public works, parks, police, fire, ambulance. Then there is sewer and water and pool. Pool we still have to keep active because it's still incurring costs to us. Sewer and water are both enterprise funds. That means that they should be self-sufficient. Whatever they come in with revenue, they should be able to pay their costs individually without any help from other funds, whether it's water or sharing fund. And then there's always liquid fuels. It's not really, it's a fund, but you do not have to budget. You do not have to have a balanced budget. It is what it is. You just have to keep it separate and segregated. So to start off with, we can go through general fund. Page 1 is the revenues. The assessments have been updated through end of September, beginning of October, based on improvements to homes, reassessments. So I am very conservative when I estimate revenue, and pretty much I go with what the assessor tells me is going to be assessed and don't go forward from there. I don't estimate up with assessment and just calculate the real estate taxes that are tied into fire and ambulance as well. Per capita, realty or real estate transfer tax, EIT, local services. I pretty much base the revenues on year to date, but being conservative again. Per capita, it seems like it has skyrocketed, but is that because of some other factor that we don't see? So to estimate it at 4,500 or more just seemed a little too far-reaching for us. Any questions on those two categories? No? Okay. Business licenses and permits. Joan will be working on the franchise, cable TV franchise agreement in the next couple of years. It takes a couple of years to hash it out. We get under agreement with whoever wants to provide cable to our community. Currently it's Service Electric. So stay tuned on the agreement and what's negotiated. So again, I just base it on what we received last year with a combination of what we've received this year to date. Non-business licenses and permits, moving permits. I am recommending, because it's such a small amount for $2 a person, we charge that not only to renters, but people who sell their houses. I think a person who sells a house and has, you know, paid real estate taxes, do we really need to sock them with $2 coming in? We got all the information when they settle. We get it through the settlement company, forwarding addresses included if they're moving out. So I propose that we up it to $5 and only charge it to renters.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because boy, do we get turnover in some of those rental
That makes
apartments.
sense.
And to keep track of that is way more important, and that's the only way we have. We don't have a settlement company doing a house settlement.
Right.
So, and I think, you know, welcoming them and giving them information when they move in or move out and getting all the information is important to them too, because I don't think they get the newsletter all the time from their landlord when they get their water bill. So it's a nice welcome packet opportunity for us for new residents. Street occupancy permit, that is the one that is going through an ordinance change right now to make it stricter. So when UGI, for example, does 4 cuts, not rectangles, but cuts in a certain length of street, then they have to repave the whole street on that side. So that's where that comes in. I only upped it slightly because I don't know if UGI is gonna just hold off or what they're gonna do, because currently they are replacing a lot right now. So I had no clue what this is gonna come in at. It could surprise us and we could rake in some dough. But really, these kinds of things are supposed to just cover our costs and not make us revenue. Okay, page 2. Any questions on any of those? Fines and forfeits. So I gave you a little detail when I responded to Carol's questions about what all these fines, violations are, who collects them, that kind of thing. Did anyone have any questions on that? Okay. Interest earnings, it's going up for ESSA, not very much with M&T, so we'll see. Pavilion rentals have been really good this year, and as a result of the pandemic, people I think kept that as a steady source of places to go, so I don't think it dipped down too low. And having it in the community for us to use is an asset too. Very nice that even rented it this year. We don't have a lot of people renting our machinery or needing for us to use our equipment to do their lawn at a charge. So we're not cleaning up quality of life a lot. That, I think we did it maybe once last year in 2021, not at all in 2022. And then we get to state capital and operating grants. So you'll see the revenue in, but the expenditure out for the TASA. We've only spent through October 4th, $8,414.80. Of course, we've gotten more invoices from both the inspector as well as Grace Industries. But you'll see that in the end of the year.
They can still do that part of their job.
Yeah, right.
So that's, you know, 1.26, you'll see in the expenditures for that exact same amount. That's why the total overall expenditures and revenue for general went up 1.2. It looks really different than last year at year end. And the COVID money, I propose moving that. That's just where we coded it because we didn't know what we were going to do really with all of it. So it was categorized under general, but I moved it to sewer because that is definitely an eligible expense. So that's where that money under sewer comes from, is the $351,140. We get a little money from the state for removing snow and ice on our part of Weiss Street. And recreational grants, that is,
I need $1,000.
That's still from.
yeah, so recreational grants 247, and recycling grants performance, but recreational grants for 247. Oh boy, now I don't even remember. Pardon?
Isn't that the park?
Yeah.
That's from the park, yeah.
Did we get that at the end of the year, is that why it's blank?
The recycling grant?
Correct. So that's through the blank part above the total, 8757.15 for that category. It's blank because we get it by the end of the year, hopefully. Geez, now I don't remember what the 247 was.
That number sounds familiar to me.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that.
one?
Yes, that's
this
thank
part,
you.
that's
For the
this,
tap.
yeah.
Yes,
This,
for the landscaping and the parking.
So I do have,
I give Ethan credit for that, because I
Thank
asked
you.
him
Oh
about
my
that, and he
gosh.
said that's what he thought it was.
Yes, 247 exactly.
the only thing, and we don't really necessarily have to talk about it right now, but what happens if we get that and we already paved it?
It's for like the landscaping stuff.
Yeah, but the major part of that was doing the parking
ADA
spaces.
improvements. We
and-
can do ADA improvements.
Okay, so we could use it
Maybe
for
we
other
can
things
do
in the building
ramps and
stuff. Okay.
signage or
Cool.
something like that.
That's
But we
perfect.
haven't heard back.
Yeah, no, I know,
CR.
and I don't wanna go into
They
that right now, but
they might not even approve,
that's true, yeah,
so that might
It
be
just-
nothing.
popped into my head.
So it's good that we paved it, but anyway. So performance grant is based on our weights of recycling in the entire borough. So we get about $4,000. Any questions on any of those? Okay, state shared revenue and entitlements, public utility realty tax, we get a small amount. Liquor license, because of the pandemic, I believe they waived it for a year, that's why there's gaps, and I don't know if we will get the 800 by the end of the year. Pension, state calculates based on some of the reports that we have to submit what they will help us out with, making sure that no pension fund is underfunded. So we do get some help that covers the majority of our costs that we have to spend and deposit in every year. The minimum municipal obligation, MMO. Firefighters Relief Fund is an in and out, so we get it in and then we turn around and within 30 days we have to cut a check to the fire. And that's just because we have a volunteer fire company in our municipality.
So it shows as a debt and then as
A revenue and then an
it's a
expenditure.
it's a pass through.
Yep, pass through. And then, as you know, PIMIC, administered by Benecon, does our health insurance, and that is the line item premium, insurance premium return that accounts for the revenue part of it. And that's all, we get 2 tranches, we get 2 amounts each year if we don't use the benefits to what the company thinks we're gonna use it as. So people are using generic rather than, they are not going to the hospital, they are not having surgery, we're not utilizing everything, so,
So this is staff insurance. right?
yes, health, yes. Departmental earnings, again, this is not money makers. We try to cover our costs. We are revising our schedule of fees, which is a resolution each year, to match up with what Barry Isaac will charge us for the permit review and inspections of the work. We are off in a few things, one of them is sidewalks. Any questions? We don't sell a lot of maps. That's the zoning maps and publications. Yes, we did, and I was gonna give him the website address, but he wanted to buy one.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we get into the permits. We wanna simplify things, we only have a few permit forms on the website and in our office to use now. We're not separating everything now by building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, so we're trying to make things simpler and streamlined. And then we also had one vacant property that was registered this year, the Ethel Hackman property. She no longer lives in the location, and it's $200, so who knows if we'll get any more there, so I hope not. So that's why I put a 0 in there.
I don't know if you see that.
I hope not, because vacant properties are not good.
No, I'm saying, I don't know if you're gonna see the 200 that you're expecting.
No, 200 is actual to year to date.
Oh,
I'm not expecting any, I put a 0 there.
gotcha.
Parks and Recreation, this next year, 2023, will be the last year of the anonymous $20,000 donation. I don't want to put anything more than that in there because we're not doing any big things for the park, like sponsor a seat or anything like that. Miscellaneous revenues, Hometown Heroes is under there now, so that's the revenue, and then the expenditures, within the expenditures. Health insurance premium for employees, that's where we have to track the revenue. That comes out of somebody's payroll check, we put it through, and then that passes through to pay the PIVC bills. So that's the portion of.
That comes out of their pay to contribute their. part.
7.5% is what each employee is expected to pay, whether it's the single plan or the family plan. Life and health, same thing. Oh no, sorry, for the retirees, we have no retirees who are seeking that right now, but it's a placeholder in the budget. Insurance claim proceeds, as you know, we received money for the pavilion roof, so that's where that landed. But hopefully we won't have any claims that we need to bring in revenue for. And then the sale of equipment, we didn't sell the backhoe this year because we haven't received the new backhoe this year. But I put it in for next year instead of this year because we don't know if we're gonna get it in November or December or when. I hope that they're going to hold true to November as they have last told Scott. So we're gonna ballpark the sale of the old at 30. That's it for the regular revenues, and then.
Could I ask?
Sure.
The Hometown Heroes banners, reimbursed 3,700 next year. We're gonna be putting out 3,700 and then we'll be reimbursed 3,700.
I believe we
We'll have the
even,
money before we pay it out.
yes, we get the checks first.
Okay.
Once we have 10, right, Michelle gathers the 10 checks, works with Trina and Courtney, deposits, places the order. That's okay. Fund surplus means the checking account balance at the end of the year that we can hopefully have in the account and use towards revenue for the general fund. Reimbursement of Toad Creek, the paperwork hasn't been submitted, they want it ASAP. I was holding off until we heard whether, well, based on my workload, but also if everything is working, and it's still in the warranty period. So I'll be submitting that in the next couple of weeks by Thanksgiving. How about that? Yeah, because that's how they wanted it at the county. So that's who it passes through. And then no transfers are allowed, so I don't put anything in there. And it also comes to the amount that I alerted you to, 3.4 includes that 1.26. Then we go to expenditures. Any questions on elected officials? It's your salaries and taxes. You have email licenses that go along with your email address. Insurance for errors and omissions as well as liability. I included the PSAB dues only for us and then separated them out if, you know, others needed them along with other association dues. So it's a little less for next year because we used to charge everybody's association dues, public works, sewer, water, into that account, into that line item, and it shouldn't be. We should associate it with water and sewer. Education, I did put in 1,000 for this year, so I put in 1,000 for next year because you might find that you want to learn a little bit more about certain topics. So let's leave it there. Some of you did take advantage of some of the PSAB education. So general administration, I base salaries for the 3 of us in the office on previous time spent. So timesheets for last year pretty much stayed the same for me this year. It's a little bit new, so I'll probably adjust it for the 2024 budget for Courtney and Trinda. So percentages are in there, not 100%. So parts of salaries are paid by water and sewer. The hourly part-time for doing our social media, that's pretty much incorporated into Courtney's job for next year. So that's why there's 0. Health insurance, explain that to Michelle Stoudt over an email. You also have a page in the back of this that explains the premiums for next year from Benecon with the 2.3% increase. We don't really get overtime, it's very rare, that's why you see that 27. And taxes are based on the percentages that haven't changed for some time. The workers' compensation insurance is also an attachment to the budget to give you a little bit of background of who are the most riskiest job positions. MMO we've gone over already. Insurances, professional services, I just based it on what we're being charged currently. I don't know because they didn't get me a new price for next year. What a shocker. So
Was that somewhere else before that it so much higher than in previous years?
Using a percentage-based increase on that?
Don't know. I believe we did have some technical assistance in separation of duties, so that hit along with the audits here. I was also going to put in more here because of the single audit, but without a quote, it's really hard to budget because I don't know what they're gonna throw at us. So if you think, we can change that prior to December if I get something, that would be one of those things that we can change. The financial management, professional services, financial management would be the account reconciliation. They actually did get me numbers, and that's a different department than the person who does our audit. So that's an hourly wage based on their rates, monthly reconciliation at 1 day a month with all of the accounts that we have. I don't know if it'll be at the actual cost that it'll cost us. It won't be this amount if they put less time into it. So that is fairly new. I underestimated it based on just getting some part-time bookkeeper, but legal, obviously that's Joan. I upped it a little bit last year because of new Borough Council members having more questions. Didn't know if you wanted to keep doing that, but I put it in just in case we want her to do more if you have projects, especially if you're gonna go out to bid for certain things.
Well, the long swamp being unknown.
Yeah,
Forward,
that too.
Yeah, that's
additional
the thing.
costs there.
I might be writing a lot of things back and
And
forth.
did she give us any kind of revised fee schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think that's in the communications for the next meeting, but I can always, give you that list if you'd like. Office supplies, so paper has gone up, but that's not the reason for this humongous increase. Currently, we keep our minutes and ordinances in non-fire safe cabinets that are, sometimes they don't even close right. Also, we don't keep minute books that lock. So this is to purchase minute books and fire safe cabinets. And that's why it's a large increase.
Did you figure in, are you still planning on doing your little cubbyhole things in the office? Your dividers, whatever you wanna
The
call it?
guys can probably build that, and that wouldn't be something that we would
Okay.
have to purchase out.
Okay.
I would think they'd be able to just build them, really. with
Yeah,
some
it
sheet
depends
rock.
on what you want.
But right now, I think things are working okay.
Okay.
So we'll see by the end of the year if I'm so behind in work or whatever.
I have a question.
Sure.
So is there any way we could put our documentation on thumb drives? Like I'd like to scan everything and keep a copy that we wouldn't have to have necessarily a fireproof box, that if it burned, we would always have a copy that was digital? Is that
It should be
possible? Or is that-
So by
is
the
that
borough
realistic?
code,
Right.
I believe
Is it-
we have to have a
physical-
certain way.
Physical copy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we could just protect ourselves by having something.
People
in
have
digital.
tried
Still
and
have to,
you can still do that.
you still have to
And we
have-
are trying to start a scanning project and scan files like our
I'm
property
just
files.
saying that we're
So that-
spending quite a bit for fireproof cabinetry, that if we could.
We already have a codification and we already have PDFs of our ordinances. And getting there with our resolutions.
Yeah, I know, it's a work in progress.
And the minutes. So it's not, yeah.
Yeah, if
That
it's,
could be a Joan question if you'd like to
If it's
pose it, but
required-
that's what
No, I
the,
would say
that's,
that's
what I-
you know, that's
what-
what we hear from everybody
What
and
is
that's what we hear at the trainings, so.
I still think we should look into having also a digital backup somewhere. I mean, you can get it on off-site, you can get storage really cheap, where you can back this stuff up digitally.
So it's done by our IT on a daily basis.
Okay, where does it back up off?
Buffalo, New York.
Okay, that's great, 'cause
And
we-
we're charged for that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yes. We
And that's the
expanded
thing,
that.
depending on
Yes.
how much storage,
Yes.
that charge will go up too.
So any other questions on
PDFs
that
though
one?
don't take up much
That's a big,
No,
a big increase,
Press all that stuff
percentage
down.
wise. We try not to use any postage because we have pre-postage envelopes, so this would be for certified mail, things like that. And that's true with water and sewer. And extra postage if we have a large newsletter and invoice going all in the same envelope. The rabbits that Eric placed on all of them. So maintenance agreement, IT, that includes a lot. That includes our copier, that includes our accounting software license and the ability to use their software, etc. IT we've talked about. Triscari if they need to do anything to our website next year, and any other softwares. The mapping with Leo Scott, he wants to do all of the layers of the borough. It was budgeted for this year, we didn't get to it, Leo didn't have time either, I'm sure. So I budgeted it again into next year's budget. It'll have all the manholes and street signs and sewer lines, water lines, streets, assessed property lines, all that, hopefully. So that's still in there. Association dues, as I said before, we're breaking this out from the one that was $400, $420, and breaking it out for admin to have that separated from councils. Ordinance codifications, they actually, once they have it, they have to keep on updating, so that's a cost. And we do get the paper copies. I don't know why we have so many, if anyone wants one. And then you can update your books yourselves and then give them back if you leave council. But we have them. I mean, the bonds and the cyber liability insurance has gone up, and it's very strict, so we're getting into compliance with water and sewer being off-site, and even, you know, looking at the alarms that come through, they have to go through virtually into the systems, and then go through into another system and another system. Education, Courtney is new, Trinda is fairly new to accounts payable, accounts receivable, so that's why that is at 4,000. Anything with any of those professional services, of course, is Barry Isid. Barry Isid gives me by project a breakdown, Charlie does, and divides out sewer and water, so that's pretty much inspections, costs, as well as any of those project kind of things that they have to do, minus the well, of course. That would be a totally separate line item for engineering.
Can I ask for a little clarification on the, maintenance agreement and the mapping with Leo Scott? See, we budgeted for this year 15,000. We've actually incurred 18,000 so far.
Mhm.
And you said Leo was to do the mapping this year. and he's gonna do it next year, so we're up to 21,250.
Mhm.
How is he gonna do it, and how is everything gonna cover only 15,000? And then
It's not, it's
10,000.
over budget. His is zero, his line item, part of this line item, $750, isn't being charged to us or billed to us this year. It will be next
That's
year
his
when the
portion.
work actually does get done.
Okay,
So yeah, we are over budget there.
okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions up to then?
You said the engineering does not include the well, is that underwater?
I didn't include the well because we don't even know how that's gonna, that could be $100,000 of engineer
Yeah.
permits, all of that. So I didn't include it
So it's not
in
at
next
all?
year.
If
No,
that was something that happened, that'd be financed money.
we
It
hope.
wouldn't be in the budget, it'd be something that the finance, and it'd be a financial endeavor if we had to do
Grant money or not?
Maybe.
We can't, he said we can't get grant money for that part.
No, not for the study.
Only for the
Not for the
actual
engineer.
Not for the
construction.
engineer,
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, tax collection, I think, you know, as a side note, you might want to ask Sue to come in and give you a lowdown on her first year, you know, in the next couple of months or the beginning of next year. But prior to the county printing the invoices, if you want to give her any input on her office hours and any information, okay?
yeah.
Because once they're printed, I'm sorry, they're printed and that goes to her, that's between the county and her. Okay, so this is just based on, what she has been collecting to date this year. I didn't do it as a percentage of the, taxable assessed value and taxes that we think we're gonna receive. She's exempt from workers' compensation insurance. I asked her if she wants any more of anything with supplies or anything like that. Her audit, it was 3,300, or based on a 3,300 RKL quote. I would assume it's gonna be a little bit more than Nancy's, so let's keep it at 3,300 is my thought, but who knows with RKL, so, yeah. And then the bond is at zero next year because it's a 4-year bond and we paid all of it. They don't let you pay 1 year at a time.
Right.
So, and because we didn't know what it was gonna be because of the change of it not being Nancy anymore, the cost did go up from $250 to $334.
Just one question while we're on that tax. I have not heard any comments you said about meeting with her. Have there been?
I've heard a million.
Huh?
Yeah, I've heard a bunch.
Oh, I haven't heard any, so.
What do you mean, her part?
Many people are not, happy that she's only here like one
Oh,
Saturday.
I've heard,
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
the
I
same
mean,
thing.
For 2 hours.
Especially the month they're due,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody knows, a lot of these older Dutchmen, they wanna pay it the last Saturday to pay it, of course, they don't wanna spend the
Yeah.
money, and she's here the first
The
Saturday.
first Saturday.
What do you wanna do to communicate with her, anything? How do we, how should we handle, how do we
I don't
handle
know, I
that?
mean, she can watch a YouTube video and find out that everybody's unhappy, she's
Yeah.
only here one
Is
day.
that, I mean,
know.
but seriously, how should we
Right.
handle that with her?
Actually, I don't know, I mean, as I understand, we can't force her to be here
No.
any more than
No.
that, but
Can we
just,
survey the community and see what they have to
I-
say?
But we have to we have to communicate to her
Right.
that.
Right.
to tell you the truth, I don't think
we
you
know
need to take
that's
much
what
of a
it is.
survey, there was,
No, we don't need
I
to
haven't
do
found
that, but
anybody
if,
who's been
If you do that and everything else is
Just
gonna
that you can see
play
the
more than
roles
what's
and plans.
necessary.
yeah, well, I'm.
So we
There's
would,
actually
she needs to
it
double it at
would
least.
be a request.
A request to
Yeah.
her.
yeah,
Yeah.
so just, is that
At
the
the
one?
very least, to make it the last Saturday instead of the first Saturday.
Well, actually,
Or twice
instead
a
of,
month.
if she
No, I
has to
think
be more
she's
than
doing-
once,
I
it
think
has
she's
to
gotta
be
do
maybe
it
the
more
second
than
and fourth
once.
Saturday.
It's
Or-
just not enough.
Or it's more than once, the month it's due, I think it should be at least 2, if not
Yes.
3.
and is it
times.
only on,
Yes.
is she only here on that Saturday
Correct.
too?
Yes.
Isn't
It's
that-
only on
2
hours
hours.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Through October.
She's got a line out the door. with
But I
people
wonder-
upset already, you know.
Okay, I mean,
Wednesday and
I don't mind communicating with her.
Okay.
And
Cause I
if I,
know that for the second bill, that I got the bill and she was only here like the next day or something.
It left people with
And I was
like
like,
one
oh,
day to
okay.
come in to
I
add,
will,
utilize
do it in
the
person.
rebate that they could get
I'll
if
have
they
a
had one
conversation
day,
with
so
her.
there was 30
Then I can see
people
what
here.
I could get her take too, see what she has, if she has anything to say, and then I'll go back and, if that's all we have.
When she
Thank
took
you,
the job,
Michelle, for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
thank
she took
you.
the job, was there any kind of contract that said
No.
how many hours she should?
No,
No.
they get to
They,
It's all
set it.
individual.
Pretty much do their own, right. Thank you for doing.
It wasn't
Yeah,
done
so
here
you get all
before
the
either,
budget
you know,
stuff
I mean, it was
like that.
done at the person's house, so
Nancy's house.
Yeah.
it was much easier for them to open up hours, but
Cause it's like, she's not getting, it's not a $50 salary, she's getting some money,
She
so.
gets a percentage off of,
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
And I think people were used to a person who had that as their only job,
Yes.
and she has a full-time job.
Oh,
But she had, but she had more than one, what, didn't Nancy have like 3 days,
She had
especially
pretty
during
much,
tax,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was like Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday and Saturday.
just
or
a few
something.
hours, but okay,
Yeah.
we'll see, I'll have a conversation.
And there
I don't
were
think she
evening
needs to do it 3 days. a
No,
week, but
no, just more than one day.
more than once. a
2
month.
hours, more than 2
Yeah.
hours, period,
Yeah.
so that's, yeah.
And one of them
maybe
has to
some-
be closer to the end of the month.
right.
Especially last month multiple times, cause what if people are away?
And I'm not even sure if, I think I would ask her if she can somehow do it a weekday.
Yeah,
Too, if
an
that's-
evening,
yeah.
yes, Nancy had evening hours.
I mean, I
She
understand,
does by appointment,
yeah, so,
after hours, she needs.
right, yeah, she did make it available, you could call her.
We'll have a conversation.
It's her first year, so. it's-
yeah.
Exactly.
you know,
That's what I'm
I-
saying. I'll ask her,
Certainly
you
not
know,
upset with
I'll
anybody,
get, I'll
just
get
giving
her
you the
take.
feedback I heard.
Right, so did I.
I didn't hear it, that's why I
Yeah.
asked, so.
Okay, page 5 is municipal buildings, that includes our custodian Roxanne. And then just taking care of this building. It does include the new furnace that we upgraded last year, that includes this building and the pool to make sure that the pipes don't freeze. Hopefully this fall, we're gonna do the small upgrades that we need to come into compliance with ADA, especially our counter, and changes to the public bathroom. And
Only $4,000.
it's because it's really,
Yeah, I guess it's not.
it's our staff doing it. They do so
That's
much
why.
and great stuff too,
Mhm.
so. Anything, questions on those? Okay, moving along to page 6. Police. So we have our services for 911 calls going to the Berks County Center. We're charged for part of police, fire, and ambulance. And it's based on the consumer price index now. I estimated an increase of 10% because we do not know the consumer price index as of the end of this year yet. So I called them and they said, I hear people who are in your same boat who are estimating between 8 and 10, so I went with 10.
Yeah.
Okay. The extra line item, the next one is 410-400, is the line item we want separated out from the regular contract with Fleetwood Police to show, and it also tells us a good ballpark of keeping track of what it's really costing us. For investigation, going to court, all of that. Then the new contract is 180, of course, that includes the lease for a vehicle. And I rounded up a little bit just in case, because their amount was about 179, so I added a little bit into that.
This is one of their police cars that they own, we're gonna enter into.
No, we're not entering, we're just, it's in our payment to them.
We never, they paid it under their budget themselves.
And that's why they increased it for us.
Right,
They're calling it a lease.
right, it's
Well, no,
we're
it is a
paying,
lease.
it is a lease, it's theirs, but we're paying that
Reimbursing
that
them
cost
for
of it.
portion of use.
Cause right now, we're paying for nothing in their cars, that they're using for us.
Because their contract equates to 1 person a week here in Topton, 40 hours a week. And that 1 person has to have at least 1 vehicle assigned to them.
And they're gonna stick with the same hours, right?
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, going on to fire and ambulance. Any questions on these? The workers' compensation insurance that's shared, we separate that out from any tax. It's not paid by the, fire tax or the ambulance tax, we pay that.
This is
as
the tax on our taxpayers or money is paying for that?
Yep.
Okay.
So again, Berks County Radio, 911, contribution, that's that pass-through that you saw in the revenue for the exact same amount. Contribution, fire tax, that of course is the fire tax. Other expenses, that's us, that's the borough's fire expenses because it has to fall under the category of fire and ambulance services. So when we get an inspection of our fire equipment, whether it's all the lights and bells and whistles in this building or all the fire extinguishers. We do have AEDs that falls under a different line item, but they'll probably take a look at those too. If not, it'll still be looked at by Steve Klein. Berks County Radio Ambulance, again, same thing, and then the contribution, that's the tax. I did ask fire and ambulance if they needed anything else above and beyond the tax. Of course, fire said, of course not, and ambulance needs things, but they're not going to ask us for anything more than administering and receiving of the tax.
Is it correct, the council can change the percentage of the tax or the amount of the tax?
Either one.
Okay.
Correct. And if it goes above the $500,000, then it has to be agreed to by the citizens, the voting public.
So on our tax bill, the amount that we contribute to the ambulance, this sort of totals up to, is that what that?
7.44, so you have the tax rates. So there's real estate, 6.44, fire, or 6.4, sorry. Fire, 0.65, ambulance, 0.5. That adds up to 7.55 mils.
It is a separate line item on your tax bill, fire and EMS.
Right, and so is this 39,000, the total of what everyone's paying on that line item on our taxes?
Approximately, yeah,
Okay,
yep.
that's all.
That's for
That's fine.
ambulance,
Yep.
yeah.
For ambulance,
For ambulance only.
and 50 is for fire, 50,800 some.
And then here are the expenses for the permits that we charge permit fees and get the revenue for. That's the first two line items. The UCC, we receive it and then we turn around and we have to pay it out. So the Planning Commission and Zoning Hearing Board pretty much are all new, or they're turning over to be newer people. And Leo is chair of planning, Stoudt Chalmers is chair of zoning. I approached them about education because really I don't think they've had classes, if ever. So some of the organizations beside PSAB offers them, so that's why you see education and training for both. And then also for professional services for both. Planning Commission would need it they want to have bylaws. So they've asked that Joan help them with that, and she has given me a price for that, the price, her list of fees, but that she would be available and willing to work with them. But beyond that, they also would like the engineer to attend their meetings, but
That could go at least forward.
they don't because they don't have submissions, planning commission.
Yeah, I think if there's a reason for various to be there, then of course, if not, there's no reason to have, and I know it's just the current situation, but our planning commission chair has experience in that stuff, so we can.
And if we would get a submission, I'm sure someone from.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there's something going on that
Yeah,
they need to chime in on, of course.
Right. Zoning Hearing Board is a separate entity, therefore they have a separate solicitor. They have retained a separate solicitor now, so that's where the ZHB legal and stenographer, in case they do have any submissions. And then advertising, their meetings I split out this year because advertising, as you know, is expensive with the morning call, but not so much with the Reading Eagle, but it would be nice to know how much of our advertising is just.
Just put that stuff on like Craigslist or something.
It has to be of general circulation.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm joking, but.
Thank you for the
It's a racket, yes.
humor. Okay, Public Works. Any questions before we start Public Works? All right, salary and overtime. Base this on increases, overtime based on, increased salary rates and number of hours, approximated based on what we've done this year.
This is based on how many people?
This is based on portions of people, okay?
Okay.
So, Scott, 75% public works, 25% water.
Okay.
Currently,
Scott is 75%.
public works, general fund, if you wanna put it that way, but public works, 25 water.
Okay.
Troy and Randy, 50-50. So 50 water, 50 public works. That's currently. As you know, it's expected that we will have a retirement on our staff, so this will be adjusted. Scott will then become 50-50.
Is that something that we're expecting real soon?
Yeah,
Or just?
yeah, till 2023.
Okay, I
It's
didn't know
not
if he'd say,
officially
right, or if he'd given.
That's
us-
why I'm not naming names,
Right, I knew who we were talking about.
because that would be,
Wrong,
no,
it would be wrong.
ages on
It's just be wrong.
Yes, confidential, okay.
So it's just those, who else, anyone else?
Okay, then Sean.
Sean.
Sean is 40% public works, 60% sewer. He spends 2 days public works, 3 days at the actual sewer plant. Jesse, 100% public works. And Alex, 100% sewer, or wastewater treatment plant. So when we would have projects like the Oak Alley pavement, or Woodside, there's a main break. We try to allocate that to the source of the issue. Oak Alley, that's public works. So when Alex's time is spent helping out, it's not charged to sewer.
Right.
Same with Woodside, that was a water main break. So when everybody's here on a Saturday or a Sunday, we charge water for that time. So that's why there's line items for everybody in each budget.
Something that was never, ever done before.
Any
No.
other, I'm sorry.
No?
A
No.
third. My time is.
The budget
Right.
I saw,
Yeah.
the budget I
Yeah.
saw before Stacy was, you didn't even have numbers on it.
You're
No.
right.
It was just
The
a list of things.
third thing is what I recall, yeah. I knew there was some kind of split.
For them,
Right.
So you're still at third, a third?
gosh,
No,
I
no.
was gonna say, that was what it was, right?
Mhm.
For office 3 office staff, yes, correct. Clothing allowance, of course, we get them clothes. I don't know, you just want me to go over,
just,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this is
yeah,
self-explanatory.
it
Yeah.
pretty much is.
Just the blue highlighted.
The blue
yellow.
highlighted, of course,
No.
is the poor street maintenance materials, non-liquid fuels. Unless we restructure public works, I put this in as a placeholder
That's what
for
I'm saying,
non-liquid
it's just not there.
fuels. We need grant money, we need something else, or a tax increase,
So
or a
you're
lawnmower.
including that in the budget, that 10,000 or not?
Yes, it's blue, not zeroed, yes. Because there are little things that we have to do. And that's where the patch, the Seal Master liquids, that's where Oak Alley went into. Okay, so small tools, minor equipment purchase will include that snow thrower, the walk behind for the TASA pathways and other property that we need to do, whether it has sidewalks or not. And we need a new compressor.
Is it required by anyone that those paths be blown, snow blown off them?
Our ordinances.
What?
They are safe routes to school, so if it snows and the kids have to go to school, we eventually have to snow throw them.
recreational path.
That's.
Yep,
it's
that's
that's-
safe.
Yeah, part of that.
Safe path to school.
That's TASA,
Yep.
Okay.
that's the point of it.
Yeah. Okay. Insurance, of course, any new equipment we have to add on insurance, so Part of this is now the paver and the zipper. The zipper we're only approximating, the paver we already are insuring. Then we have to add the backhoe, and under major equipment purchases, there's the compact tractor that Scott spoke about, and the mower that needs replacing. So compact tractor is new. Mower is replacing the John Deere that we currently have. Sign maintenance or signs, I mean, this included the schools, and the school signs were quite expensive, and they'll hit in the last quarter, so they're not on the expenditures to date yet. But that's done, so we don't have to pay for that next year. Electricity, as you know, we do traffic signal maintenance was horrible this year because we never know what's gonna break when, and boy, telco really charges a nice amount of money.
That's crazy, it's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
So that's why I only
Everything.
budgeted such a small amount, $717, and it came in at $5,750.
Oh my God.
For that traffic light.
Yes, for one traffic light that we have to have, and we
Wasn't the
have
whole
to.
light, it was just a part for the light.
Yes,
Right.
and they had it in their truck.
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
they were
we can't
discounted to use.
We can't use their one, they have to go get us one.
Yeah. Street lighting, all the street lights, we pay for the electricity, and they're owned by Med Ed. We also have to service some of them, vehicle maintenance.
Is there any way we could, well, it's another discussion, but is there another time, but, is there any way we can get better rates on this electric, at least then?
We do, actually.
Yeah.
We go through Penn State, and collectively, it's kind of like CoStarz would be, or something similar for a service, but somehow we got in on that. As a municipality, we go in with other municipalities, and they negotiate and get us a better price. And then that shows after it's negotiated, and we just negotiated, or they negotiated one, so it's effective with this year's rates with Med Ed.
So we're still looking at a $10,000 increase.
Getting a grant for solar.
Well, electric's been, you know,
Wouldn't you?
energy costs are through the roof.
And that's really, it's based on what we've paid this year,
Just paid $1,000.
you know, divided by 9
Yes.
times by 12.
Yeah,
So that's why it's to the penny. That's how I do my formula in there.
we should, if we could get a grant for solar energy for street lighting.
You still have to have money to pay, you still have to have.
We,
You'd have to put
For
the sign
LED.
somewhere, too.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
LED and solar,
oh, I see what you're saying.
try to lessen that,
Sure, write that on the list of,
yeah.
we'll write that on the list of.
We try to look at any grant.
I don't know, is
Any-
there such a thing? I'm just.
I have to ask Mary, really.
It's a thought, but it doesn't.
There
have to
was
be
for
like-
street, traffic lights, but not street lights recently, something having to do
Yeah,
with
but that was
upgrading
so
the traffic.
thin. I looked into it, every suggestion Charlie had, they basically crossed it right off the list, and was like, you can't use it for this,
Yeah,
this,
see,
this,
that-
this,
that's the
you can
thing.
only use it for this or this. And
Capital improvements, you know, Charlie in his report said between $60,000 and $65,000 would cover the cost of the roof because it's multiple buildings at our public works, what the guys call the shop over there on Keller Street. And then the salt shed, if we need to, we can push off the salt shed for another year, but not the roof. It's just gonna keep damaging things, it's leaking. It's not like, oh, we just
Right,
have an old roof, it's actually leaking. So if there was a spot to cut, Scott said, it's okay, we can make do with the salt shed.
That's been years now, though.
I know, and it's bulging.
Yeah.
Perennial stream, this is just the, soft costs. So the perennial stream was observed by Christine Ildner from Barry Eisen and Associates, gave us a recommendation of how to maintain and stabilize right now. Next steps being, getting a survey done of who owns what properties along that perennial stream, so whose responsibility is it to maintain after the survey is done. And then the design and bidding of the work on our sections. or the whole thing. It depends on how council wants to do it. But the design will probably be for the entire water course and then figuring out how to pay for it. But the maintenance will fall on the owners of the property, so we don't own all of it. So it will fall on the property owners along there. Stormwater management, and other needs. So stormwater, education, MS4 education, environmental education. That plays a part in all that we do now because of what we have in our community. We have two streams, a stream and a river, creek, and a wastewater treatment plant with stormwater management. So that I believe is where I added education in for environmental education, plopping it in, and we can always look at the expenditures to track them separately and not just create another account.
Okay.
Okay, because I already created an account for this. And then, like I said before, Public Works Association dues and memberships and all of that used to be lumped under councils and the office staff. So we're trying to segregate so we know who's spending what. And then of course the truck. Parks and Rec. Special events coordinator, we did not utilize because council took those responsibilities on, and I have included them in what would be the full-time position for Courtney next year. The seasonal park maintenance is what Ethan had suggested that the crew and Public Works would need to help them from April to October. Park activities, it does include the YMCA park program and other special events. It does not include the fireworks because of the discussions that council has had. TCOC, I separated out as a separate line item. As you know, a lot of people are unaware or were not aware of how much goes in as a budget item by the borough. And this doesn't even account for our staff. So if our staff would, I would put that in there too. I'm sorry?
They didn't contact you, did they?
What you see in the folder going around is what they submitted.
Do you have?
Did everybody see this? I know it
didn't go that way.
Okay, could you please pass it that way, Tom?
They don't want
Thanks.
anything?
Isn't that what it said?
Stacy?
Yeah.
What specifically did the YMCA park program, what is that, what portion of that amount?
6,500,
6,500.
correct. And that is in that folder,
Okay.
okay? That's their request, 6,500. So that subsidizes the fees that are charged to the attendees' parents of the park program.
That's
So
the
we're
same,
subsidizing,
that's the same as it was last year.
Mhm.
so we're using tax dollars to
Correct.
subsidize people's
Attendees.
kids to be in attendance at the YMCA.
Topton,
Park program.
in Topton residents and outside of Topton residents.
And outside of Topton.
Yeah, they differentiate when they apply for the program, if they're Topton Borough residents or non-Topton Borough residents.
Rates are different.
Rates are different.
Rates
Rates are more
Rates are
for-
different,
yeah.
right,
Yes.
right, I understand that, okay.
Back to TCOC, so it does include, hours for Fleetwood Police. This past parade was 34.5 hours, so I included it at 35. Fleetwood's willing to give us, a better rate for the parade if council so chooses to approve it for future years. And then, of course, it includes the other things that we would rent or do. And that does not include our staff. Our staff time to go and help on Sunday or
We don't
prep.
itemize that out anywhere, do we? It's just part of our staff's salary.
Right, I
No
mean,
way you really
and
do.
I didn't track it this year.
Okay, just,
but can, if council would like. So everything going with the seasonal park maintenance, the taxes, workers' compensation. Park pavilion doors need to, or park pavilion, or park bathroom doors need to be maintained this year. So we have to, council should really look and see how they're being used and if we do want to renovate them, or as council has discussed, closing the bathrooms entirely.
I would say.
Oh.
So the park pavilion and bathroom supplies is being broken out because of what's been going on with the park bathrooms, and let's
So
see how
expensive.
much stuff we are
So
really using to
expensive.
clean it up and
Right.
keep them nice. The park sign is the sign that was donated by the Centennial, so that I keep moving until it's done, so it's in this year's budget, but I'm moving it because we haven't spent it into next year's budget. Tree maintenance and restoration included Toad Creek restoration 1 and 2, and it included the holiday tree. So maintaining other trees throughout the park, and if anything else would be needed for Toad Creek, that's where it would fall. As you know, the pesticide and herbicide applications were being outsourced, so these are the figures that they were quoted to me for the maintenance throughout the park.
I would like
And-
to,
At the fencing and things like that.
Okay, so this is for everything, bless you,
Bless you. It is not for everything. Part of it is going to Public Works because of the detention basin, or the
Okay.
streets, I'm sorry, for the streets, but the detention basins and the park facilities around fences, etc., posts, all that is what is included.
I would like to, recommend we try 1 year with no grass applications for fertilizer or herbicide, or correct mowing procedures. I believe the grass will do very well.
Okay, so
So
only the
if
grass
they-
application, not the,
Correct.
not the weed applications around fences.
The areas they mow. No fertilizer, no herbicide. Because they have new laws signed by Governor Wolf about the fertilizers, and they're going in that direction. And I don't think with correct mowing, Penn State teaches you don't know that.
What is
So
correct
I'd like
mowing?
to try.
I mean, what are they doing wrong now?
I didn't say they were doing anything wrong.
What is the correct,
Well, I mean, but if
they're
they
gonna
were-
have to know what, they would
My
have
point
to
is
know
if
what
they
the
were
correct
doing it
mowing
correctly,
things
we
are
wouldn't need
before we
to-
say no.
I can get them. with-
They're going to have to
Mowing at the correct height with sharp blades and never when it's wet.
Mhm.
Just some simple things.
You can
Not-
have a
not
meeting,
bagging
you can
the
have a,
chicken.
you can
That's
have a
cause
meeting
less
with them.
doubt.
That's just to, for
Not
everyone, or
bagging
just for me to
clippings,
look
which
at, or?
Just for you to look
They
at.
don't do
Which
that.
they don't do,
Curious.
yeah, so
Okay, so the
I think
line,
it's gonna be fine with that.
so the line item for Natural Lawn of America
Just leave it there.
is here for you to look at if you'd like to.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
The staff spoke to us about maintaining Toad Creek and the perennial stream and their concerns of not their feet, but the equipment that they would have to use and squeeze in spots and just have close to the banks, and it's not their normal application of that maintenance. They don't do any streams right now. So they're concerned that they're gonna ruin the work that's been done at Toad Creek Restoration 1 and 2 and do more harm than good once the perennial stream is restored. So I asked Christine Milner for a recommendation of a firm to come and give us a plan of how to do it, what equipment to get, and then maybe even resulting in a price of them to do it and come and do it instead of our staff.
Because they came through before anything, right after it was done, before it looked, and we're like, this, and this should be done, and then it's like, so you can't do it then because there's poison, and now it's all overgrown, and where do you start, and we don't have the equipment. So that is the best way to,
It's really, in spots it's really nice, but it's really so overgrown and full of poison ivy right now. I don't blame them, and then for them to say, you know, we don't wanna ruin the work that was done already. We don't know what kind of tiptoeing we have to do, what can we do? So at least we can get a plan done, so that's what 454310 is for. I've already reached out to the firm, hopefully they can come in December. And then the other, you know, things in the park, again, TASIP funding is here as the expenditure at, right above the park loan, a couple above. And then this is where Hometown Hero banners is placed as an expenditure as well. Any other questions on those?
Parks, buildings, maintenance and repairs, 14,000. Is there something in particular we're expecting in there that's so much higher?
Those doors, we did the doors at the bathroom, at the baseball bathrooms in the park, and they were expensive. They were like 4,000 a piece because of the timer locks.
I was just gonna say
And
that.
the material, oh my gosh, they were way more than I thought they'd ever be.
Okay.
So that's
Just
why,
curious, yeah.
I'm sorry to say, and that's why I'm
Materials for
saying,
everything is-
Oh, yeah, materials are ridiculous, and these doors were only how many years old?
and, okay, so hopefully they won't be as much,
That's why you're asking.
but who knows?
Well,
And
it's
then
just
there's-
like you had to-
It should be
yeah.
34 months, wow.
Yeah.
And Bieber Electric gave us an estimate of the electrical board. I know I'm saying the wrong words, I'm not an electrician,
Down there.
in one of the parks, poles, at
yeah.
one of the parks poles. Not this, not where
Oh,
we have our
yeah.
bathrooms, not where we have our bathrooms. Okay, so it costs $4,000 to $5,000 for that.
I knew that.
Are you talking about Rhode Island?
Yeah,
Really?
to redo
With
those.
electric
That was last
service
year.
to where?
Yeah,
We have a-
upgrading breaker box,
Panel.
I guess you
It
could
The
call
ball,
it.
is it the ball
It
field
needs
or?
to be, no,
It does
no,
need to be
down
done.
at, Broad Alley, at the end, it needs to be done.
Oh, is it where we, at the end, where behind Tony's Pizza, like
Yeah,
that
it needs to be
area?
done.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
where the 14,000
have
comes in.
Is what it is.
Wow.
And I upped the security camera maintenance and repairs because, currently and it won't change, it's based on, the storage for the cameras is based on, amount of data. Not hours, not days, but data. So to upgrade that, it would cost approximately $700, but then also maintaining that data. So that's why that line item is a little higher. Any other questions about parks, expenditures, and then other expenditures? This is just general, not having to do with parks. This is just other expenditures overall. Includes, of course, the loan for the Way Street property and
All of that is paid
insurances.
off. What's the maturity on that?
29.
So you have the
Yeah.
loans in your packet as well. So
I'll look at it, if you have it itemized.
Yeah,
I'll look at that.
there's only 2023 left, and then that's done. Any questions on other? Okay. Now for the water fund.
Oh, just one question.
Sure.
On this Ford Escape that you have, is it under other expenditure, is that the one we sold, this is what we're still paying off the amount?
Nope,
Now,
it's
where do you
done.
see that?
It's done.
Oh, it's all done, okay.
Yep, so because it
Oh,
still
you-
occurred
I'm
in
sorry, I didn't have my
2021.
page- my
That's
notes
okay.
yet to do that.
Because it still occurred in 2021, that, and it's in the budgeted and the actual, I had to still leave it as a line item. Okay, water fund. Again, enterprise has to be independent, has to sustain itself by itself. So revenues are based on rents. Residential, commercial, industrial all have different rates. For now, water is in pretty good shape in terms of rents and covering its costs. Whether that would also handle a new well, that would not. But that is not included, like I said, in this budget. So knowing that part of Scott, part of Troy, part of Randy go to the salaries, now you know what makes up the salaries. But also part of our salary in the office. Not as much as 30% for each of us, but still making. So the first administration is us in the office. Also the engineering, the PA1 call, I would like to separate out as a line item because there are costs associated with that. There might be more to it than that in the future because one of our staff who's retiring is responsible for the majority of those calls, and soon it will be other staff who are doing this, and training might be necessary. PA1 call, as you know, we have to report on where the water lines and sewer lines are before someone digs, whether it's in the street or in soft lands.
When that's done, Stacy, they call the state and then they notify
Correct.
the borough.
Correct.
Because my son's next door neighbor called PA1 call a month ago and never heard anything. Okay.
Yep.
I'll tell him to
Yep,
call
that's
again.
out of our hands,
I'll tell him
so,
to call
yep,
again.
yep. Okay, any questions on this page 9? That section of the water's budget?
On this general liability, E&O, is that for the staff that if they do something wrong, is that what that's covering?
And errors and omissions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
So, our insurance company broker, splits out our costs very well, whether it's a piece of inventory, equipment, vehicle, or property. So that at least is split out. It's the other E&O that we just have to estimate. But in terms of general liability, we can get it down to a science. Okay, so page 10 is the staff and their costs to do what they do at the water plant. So it goes from administering, which is the salaries, clothing again, all of the other expenses having to do with the staff. And then the chemicals are going up, more so with sewer than water, but still chemicals are going up for water. Equipment repair and maintenance. We are trying to, and we think it's gonna be fine, pay for 30% of a generator for the water plant this year and 70% next year. So that is under plant maintenance. So less of the risk of not having that when something goes wrong. So that's needed now, but we can't get it now anyway, so it's spread out over 2 years of budgets. Vehicles, no change in vehicles. Capital improvements does include the purchase of meters, and this year the expenditures will include the graphite meters, the meters that we purchased, and we'll get reimbursement from graphite. So that will come into us and go out from us. Any questions? No, this doesn't include anything on Keller Street. Okay. Sewer. Again, rents are their revenue source, along with the usage by the home. So the home gets billed for actual use under bulk sales, Lutheran Home, and then they pay part of the loan that we have under fixed cost payment, Lutheran Home. As I said before, the COVID monies, the ARPA monies, are being placed into their revenue, for the next year for use to cover costs, which are eligible under ARPA guidelines. And then, of course, there's an increase in sewer rates to make this, the expenditures balance.
So in actuality, minus 317,000 from this.
Right, that it's not rents that are covering the costs for sewer. So let's go over the cost for sewer. Again, administration is our staff in the office and our costs, plus postage that is very minimal, like I said before, but our software is expensive for the reading of the meters as well as the taking of the payments for the quarterly bills. Education, engineering is estimated by Charlie. Property insurance, general liability insurance is down to a science, like I said, but is a little bit estimated. And then we go to the big expenses for the sewer. Sewer is more about their pump houses and the plant. So whether we get a grant for Washington Street pump station or not, we've got to do the pump station. We can't wait anymore. It serves half the community. If it goes, we're in deep trouble. Alex has cut as much of the cost as he possibly can with chemicals, what he uses. There are certain things that he just can't cut. We don't know if it's gonna be 150. We don't know if it's gonna be 125, but with costs going up, I increased it from 125 if we had done it this year to 150. Hopefully it would come in lower. He needs a vehicle. It's old. I'm sorry. He has no air conditioning in it. If you guys don't want to do that, we're still low with rents. We're still under revenue anyway.
Do we have a breakdown of, I'm just wondering is some of our, revenue that we're generating, that are increasing our costs have more to do with maybe industrial user or maybe rather than residential segment of our.
The rents are different for industrial than they are for
So I
residential.
guess I'm just wondering.
They are charged
Are they paying their fair share?
Yes, they are
I
different.
know they're different rates,
Yeah.
but I'm just wondering in the end, if we do any kind of analysis on,
I think the
commercial,
last
industrial.
time when it was differentiated, that there was an analysis done by the engineering firm at the time,
I know we did go by.
But-
That's why the rates are different, right?
Mhm.
Because they're,
Yes.
that's why we.
But
Yes.
if a new analysis needs to be done, I mean, it was really analyzed prior to the renovations at the plant as well, and that's where, could we do the renovations and still serve the home and our community? That was all done, but that was a while ago, and it could be studied again, I'm sure. But if we go on the rates that we have now, it's not gonna cover everything. And the loan currently for those renovations, rehabilitation of the plant itself, does not stop until mid-2026. Right now, sewer owes general, because of the loan, $254,000. So general is currently covering sewer for the loan. It has not reimbursed general. Okay, then we've done the pump houses and vehicles and loan, and the amount of regulations that hit sewer is a lot different than water. That shows in the analysis, the chemicals, the materials that they need. Maybe not all of the other items, plus the sludge analysis. So those are the things that go into a wastewater treatment plant. And the numbers are the numbers. I had Alex look at these before I presented them to you. And he sees nowhere else to change anything, except for not giving him a vehicle, but he'll need a vehicle next year, and we'll still have the loan for the rehab of the plant. Or the next year he'll need so
That's what the game's gonna be.
We
You
need
know,
to-
Yeah.
It's what can be done now and what's gonna not, you know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we need to figure out how to rate, what we're gonna do to raise them and what is going to make a difference. Not just eat by the minimal, raise them, we need to make a difference.
Right.
If you
Make
raise
them
the
just
taxes.
get by.
The sewer bill.
Sure, right.
Oh, the
Probably
sewer,
both,
Sewer bill.
probably both, because nothing's figured in here to do anything.
Well, we should figure like an accrual account that like we're accruing money to put towards
For-
replacement
okay,
of things
okay.
within the whole budget.
And that, we
Moving
can't
forward.
afford, we tried to do that for the rebeds.
Well, that, okay,
For sewer, they can't afford it.
No,
No wonder we haven't done it over the
for
years.
sewer, we have to raise sewer rates because we need it now.
Right. And
But as
within
far
that
as-
raise the amount, we raise it to include.
I mean, that's,
accrual
that,
account for things
I
moving forward.
don't think we're going to, we'll be lucky if we'll be able to do that. I'd like for rebeds, but as far as raising taxes, a totally separate note on what we're talking about sewer now is there's nothing, we're bare minimum with the budget, so we're gonna have to figure that out too. Because 1 mil is $78,000. 1 mil is $78,000. It's
Right.
nothing, so, yeah.
And
So we
the
need to,
sewer rents sure can be put aside, but we still have to cover
yeah, we need to
costs.
sit and look at what the figures are, how we're going to do that for the sewer rates.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Any
On
questions?
the equipment maintenance and
Sure,
repair,
sure.
and under that minor equipment purchase,
Equipment maintenance and repair, 20.
yeah, up from 4,700.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to use a ruler too.
And
I did the same.
then
20.
minor, yeah, up from 4,700 to 20,000, and minor equipment purchase from 1,800 up to 20,000. What's a minor equipment purchase that's 2,200 more than, or,
Okay, I
between
think,
18 and 20,000,
Did you punch it?
1,800, minor equipment.
well, we had to, Alex is just hoping things don't keep breaking. So, we did repair things this year, and like he said about,
I'm trying to think.
he would, yeah, now, I know the equipment maintenance and repair,
I can't remember.
I have to get my Excel sheet up.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it, I'm sorry, I don't know the detail of each
We were
line.
talking about relining a tank.
That is pushed off until 2024, the chlorine tank.
Okay.
That's not even in here.
They
And it was gonna
they have
be-
mowers down there too, I'm not trying to.
I'll have to look into it, I don't wanna give you misinformation, so I can go to my desk and even look at it.
You know what the minor equipment purchase is for 18,000?
That's what
That's
she
what
said
we
she was
just
gonna
talked
look into.
Oh, okay, I thought it was the repair she was looking at.
No, I'll look at both,
Thank you.
sorry.
That's fine, thank
It's all right, yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Liquid fuels is where I included using 300,000 for eligible streets. I don't know if that'll work. As Ethan has explained to everybody, you know, not every alley which doesn't require reconstructed curb
Most
is
of them.
eligible. So it's, yeah. So I don't know if that'll even be feasible. So I can always push it back to 0 budgeted for, streets, roads and alleys. But we do use 20,000 around there for the salt, the, aggregate or whatever you call it, that goes on, it's not just salt. And it went up $25 a ton, or estimated to go up. One price that came in that we use county pricing for our cooperative went up 25 a ton.
It's like a brine mix with salt.
Well, it has that stuff,
It's
rocks.
100%, so,
It's
just
salt water pretty much, yeah.
Oh, I thought it had little stones in it or something.
Not in the boroughs.
Oh, okay.
We don't want it all over our streets to clean it up.
Yeah, that's true. And then the pool. And, you know, no revenue, but there are some things we still have to insure it, and, our broker is gonna adjust it, so I don't know what that's going to be because it's not in use. So I estimated it at approximately what we paid so far this year for the insurance, so that's 700. Maintenance and repairs, in case anything goes wrong, I put that in there. The swim team asked for 1,500, I kept it as yellow. Not knowing what council would want. And professional services, engineering, the 1,500 that was spent so far this year was for the safety, the void, possible void determination that was only an outer review and nothing else. Any questions about the pool?
Are they going to be doing a camera down through pipes? Is that,
That's what council has to decide.
okay, that's up in the area, okay.
Right now, what we've been told is, unless you do another pool right on top of it, where it is now, that construction companies, the danger would be on them, or the liability, or something like that. You'd have to ask Charlie for the
Well, yeah,
exact wording and
because
structure.
Charlie said that once they would start going, if they would start doing anything in that area, you'd know right away if there was anything there. And if you go and look back at any of the studies that were done, basically, they never said that there's probably any kind of void there. They said a lot of the shifting and the leaking of the pool could be from the different
Construction.
changes that were done in there, that's the shifting, and just because it's a million years old too, so
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
But then there might not be a sinkhole that's under there?
Oh, it was never said that there's a sinkhole under there, that's all rumor.
Okay. I thought that was what he was saying, is a potential.
Right,
There's been
technically, it was never called a sinkhole, he
Right.
said there was some sort of void that they
There's,
can't.
they don't know, but they never
Void
said,
is-
yeah,
A void is a sinkhole, but it's not a sinkhole
but they don't know.
necessarily.
It was never said that there's a
Right.
huge, and if anybody goes in
It
there,
did
they do
leak.
any kind of construction, they would know right away if it's any kind of major thing, when they start doing it, Charlie said, that's what Charlie said. So it's not any kind of risk if we say, we wanna do this here, we didn't know it as soon as they start any kind of construction.
Let's put a pool back there. It's not that big a deal.
Any other questions?
I have a question about COVID money. Is this the last year we get COVID money, or do we not know?
We just got like a total amount, not like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, we don't
Is
get it
that
all.
what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was a total amount.
it's carried over.
It was a total amount split in half. They
Yeah.
gave you half the first year and half the second year, and then they also gave you a really small, less than $400 we got based on a formula of what was divided up that was never claimed by other municipalities at the state
Okay.
level.
Just wanted to make sure that it's done.
That's as much as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
And you know what, I have to make a comment about let's put a pool there. First of all, the cost, I just have to say, you can get grants for part of the pool, but you still have to pay for all of it. It's not that pool has been costing money and sinking money for years. We cannot sustain the cost of
I
the
agree
pool,
with you on
Not at all.
that. Because really, the cost to even go there isn't gonna cost our overhead to have it.
The feasibility study that was done,
Yeah.
was done now 4 years ago, and those numbers were based on the minimum, the $5 million pool is probably now $10 million, and the numbers to even build that pool, that 5 million, was based on, like 5 times the people coming to the pool, so we can't even afford or
Well, we
sustain.
can, but if we could get.
A
private
community,
funding,
they would have to pay for absolutely everything. So that would be on somebody with a lot of money to have that and an agreement to do that. So as a borough, there's no way that would be
Can't
A smart thing to do.
You actually did have workers for it.
Anyway.
Back to
Is everything else?
I mean, I sit here now.
Alright, so, Stacy's finished her budget presentation, which she also included in here. Are you finished with it or not? Were you asking for questions? Are we gonna say this?
Well, there are other items on the agenda, just so you know, but. Okay, so before you get into
Okay, go ahead.
whatever council chooses, there's a timeline by Borough Code. You have to put it on display, you have to put it on display for so long before you go ahead and adopt. So, if council so chooses, we could put it this with no changes or with changes on display at any point. But I need to be directed to advertise. So just keep that in mind.
Can
If
you
you
advertise before you make changes before you can advertise, right?
Sure.
What is the time period it has to be on display before it's final?
But there's no,
1 second, please. Go ahead.
but if we, no, it will be changes. I mean, changes to the
But
sewer.
it shifts your
changes
meeting
to the-
dates, that's the thing,
What?
okay? It will shift your meeting dates. You will need to meet more than what you have as one meeting in November and 1 meeting in December.
Right, so what I was gonna say though, if this budget can be okay, is this budget okay if we increase sewer rates? Is that something different on that? No.
2 different entities, you can still put it on display.
Right,
Pending
right,
an
that's
ordinance,
why I'm
an
asking.
ordinance that would raise rates, an ordinance that would affect tax rates. Those
So,
are 2 different.
so the basic,
So we could advertise it now,
Yes.
even, but still make changes
Yes.
after, that, I guess
Yes.
that's the question.
yes,
Okay,
that's,
okay.
yes,
It's a
Well, then
proposed,
why-
it's
that's what I wanted to
proposed.
ask.
Then why
Yes.
wouldn't we?
right.
It's a
Right.
proposed
It's
budget.
already analyzed
That's,
this.
no, that was
It's a
what I was
proposed
questioning.
budget, yeah.
Okay.
So it's all based on the Borough Code, 10-day period and a place readily viewable. So we have to give it to the paper, have them advertise it, and then have it on display.
We have, okay, so in order to do that, we have to make a motion and we have to do that. And that is there's no reason for us not to do that.
If
And
it
then,
doesn't limit us from making changes.
correct,
then-
correct. So then we go home tonight and think about the whole thing. We have to think about the sewer rates. That is what we're gonna have to discuss, what we wanna do and about the whole budget. I mean, about the whole, the taxes, like I said. Which leads to this paper, I know Stacy's gonna talk about it, but this should blow your mind. This should blow your mind.
What's that?
The
Rates, the millage as of
tax
40
rate.
years.
The tax rate, and believe me, I did research trying to find information, and
What
you
the
can't
hell
find it.
happened in '94?
That's what I'm saying, I can't find it, I looked. Yeah,
And know that there are gaps in my chart, okay? So I didn't include every single year.
but this,
Okay.
it's major things.
But I just showed periodically how things changed and went up and then dramatically went down from 1 year to the next between 1990.
And I mean, you can see the major things in here, but what has never been thought of, and now, I wanna say us who are trying to look ahead and trying to just get things done, and it's on us that, we don't have any money because the future was never thought of.
Right.
The future
Well,
was
there's a
never.
lot of things.
And there were so many things that weren't done the way they should have been, for whatever reason, like the whole sewer is now sunk so far that, just raising rates is gonna not even.
Well, we were fudging numbers for the pool up for years.
Yeah.
And saying that those numbers were working,
And
the
weren't coming out.
taxpayers were subsidizing, had to be here.
Oh, and it's not just a couple bucks, that adds up to a lot of money, just everything, but that's just, this just blows your mind. And then here we are trying to figure out, and knowing that just 1 mil is gonna have $78,000, and
Right.
what is that gonna get us?
Right.
What legally can we raise?
Right?
How much can we? Well, they went from,
Well, I don't know, they may be able to be more efficient next year.
well,
Work
just
on
think
it again.
about, it's $100,000, it's $1,000.
Although with inflation, it might
Yeah,
still,
that's what
you know.
I had the numbers written down, so we'll just have to, that is what we have to do, we have to figure out what it'll amount to by
What we
rate.
can do and what the
And how-
amount would be.
Well, that's what I asked, is there
And,
a cap that we can raise it?
well, that's what we have to find
Yes.
out, there is, I'm not
Because
sure
it
if
is
it's
the
free,
school tax.
there is, yes, there is. But, and then see what the actual amount that
Would generate.
would for us, but like for each person, like a hundred thousand, if your property is set at $100,000, how much is the increase gonna be for you if we raise it,
Right.
you know? It's not really, it really isn't that much money, I mean,
Not if your total is 70-some thousand for the whole borough.
right,
One
one
bill.
person,
Right.
it's not that much. It's, you know, when you say you're gonna raise your taxes, it's, you know, they're gonna
It's
say,
based on your
ooh,
assessments, everybody's getting screwed at a different level, is really what it means.
but it's not very much, I mean, that's a whole county, that's a county thing, the assessments. But, how much you're gonna pay, it's not like each person's gonna be paying an extra $1,000.
Some might.
Well, if that's. Do you want, do you, you know, do we need, there's stuff, we know that things need to be done.
Well, it's very, very unfortunate that all this is on this council, because for you, like you said.
That's the
Yeah.
way, but that's the way,
It is
that's
what it
the
is
way
at
it
this
goes.
point, though.
That's the way it goes.
It has to start somewhere.
Yep,
So unfortunately,
that is
You
true.
can't keep doing that.
No,
right.
Not fixing things.
and that's what happened, we, you know,
But
we
if this would have
we
been
did
let
things, we
go,
bought things,
what
we,
would
you
happen?
know, yeah.
I understand,
So,
so we're in a
So-
pickle.
and.
So here we are saying, you know,
Us.
we have to suck it up and say, this is, you
Right.
know, it needs to
Or
be
we have
done,
to drastically cut some of the things that we're doing.
but we are
What
cutting.
can
We-
you, I mean,
we-
these are.
There's nothing else that can be
This
done.
seems pretty skeletal to me in the first place.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
These
But
are
we're adding
necessity
things to
items.
our maintenance, like, you know, we're adding pads that now we have to maintain for, you know.
We didn't add those.
Yeah, but I think
we didn't add
when you
those
look at the
pads,
bigger
that's-
picture,
Yeah, we
the
bought
expenses
a
for me.
building and spent almost $150,000 till it was cleared off the lot for, I guess we'd have parking for a pool that we no longer have. I mean, there's a lot of things that monies were spent that.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean, we can be
done.
upset about
It's
stuff that
done.
happened
No,
in
it's
the past,
done.
if we
No,
can
it's
just
done,
go
but
forward.
just saying.
There were other issues with that
Okay.
house
All right,
that needed to go.
okay, okay,
There was
Stacy.
a orange line.
yes.
Okay, so if council is,
I'll make a motion to advertise the draft of
I was going to
the
ask
2000.
okay,
We're doing, okay,
So it's, yeah.
But this can be changed, right?
You're
Just
correct, this is
Correct.
proposed.
Okay, all right.
all right, there's a motion and a second. Any questions
Yeah, I have a question.
on the motion?
I have a question on the content of what the motion concerns.
Okay,
There was something as we went through that said, I think it was in orange, 100,000, and I thought it was sewer
Correct.
fee increase.
yes,
Okay, and you're talking about 100,000 also in millage? Or is
no,
that
it was a
sewer?
conversation, it was a conversation,
Okay, so,
that's not in there.
great, perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the budget's, going to be on public display, which can be changed.
Advertised on public
yes.
display. That'll make your schedule a lot more flexible because.
So
you'll have
now,
more time.
right, so now what we need to do is
Look at it
figure
and
out,
tweak it if possible.
yes,
Right.
which, I mean, there's really not much. If we're gonna look at the budget and start nickel and diming things on there, we've already cut, I mean, we're basically at, you know, we can't really, nickel and diming isn't gonna make any sense. So. What
And
else
those
do
are
we have?
just reminders of the next two dates.
Okay.
Unless you want, okay, so does council want to bring in, you have the folder somewhere, whoever has it, Michelle now, of any of the entities that have requested funding or use of your facilities?
I don't necessarily need them to come in, but I am curious what the 6,500 to the YMCA does. I don't mind, you know, helping out, with keeping it, you know what I'm saying, I get how they need that. Because,
Stacy? Could you
yeah.
send all of us a breakdown of what each of these, organizations is asking?
Do you want me to copy
Yes,
that?
they have it
for
right
you?
there.
Some of those just said the amount from last year, it didn't say they wanted, and I don't know what the last year's amount was.
Who, like who?
One of them in there, I don't.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, it's probably, it's on the budget, it's in the
Yeah,
budget.
but,
Like the library
that
is,
was the
safety
pool.
net is,
Like some of these are not
Right.
on here, like it just says for.
So the YMCA isn't its own line item, but they do have an application in. It's probably the last one, cause it's Y.
Okay. But I think there were some in here, the baseball, would the baseball have any?
All they asked for was us taking care of the mowing again.
Okay, so that's not no money, no.
No,
that's
softball.
service.
Same with softball.
Softball didn't
Okay.
want any.
Yep,
And the crime alert,
500.
Baseball also wanted us to work on the table.
and the safety net, that's-
2,000
Eric, I
we
was
give
gonna
them,
talk to you about
yes.
that afterwards.
and,
Picnic tables.
Yeah,
and the.
I think we have a couple
which is
here
like
at
the
school.
line
They,
item of
and they don't
20,
have,
600.
yes, they.
yeah,
we-
and they're the plastic ones.
That's all.
And to use the facilities for the
Yeah.
Easter egg hunt and
Yeah,
the
to
fish
swap 'em out.
derby and the parade.
The library was $15,000 that we.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they qualify for other grant money.
And I'll give you the answers about those two line items, if you wanna.
Yeah, anything else?
That I was
Our next meeting is
It's a regular meeting, the second Monday of
November,
November. I don't know what that is.
thank you.
14th.
John here.
Okay,
The night before.
there we go. I'm already packed up. Here you go.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You didn't even ask the visitors if
Well, I looked up there at the visitors that are out there asking.
Everybody's so upset about how we're spending money, nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. There you go.